Hey guys, it's Paul from Alexandria Knife Sharpening and Laser Engraving. I wanted to talk to you about something that I don't think I've ever brought up before, but it's worth mentioning, and especially there's probably a lot of younger guys or new guys that may not even know about these things. Sometimes when you're sharpening, your belt will get dirty, and sometimes it's because of a knife. It could have a lot of oxidation on it, it could just be old, they get gunky, and they attract junk. There are things called belt erasers. They're like, it looks like a giant eraser. I have a bunch of them around here, and this will breathe some life back into your abrasive belts if they're filled with junk. Okay, so you just turn it on, rub that across the abrasive, and it pulls that junk and dirt out of your belt. And you can see, like, that belt looks pretty good. You can use these on even Trizac belts or anything that gets dirty. Another interesting trick, too, is it works on really any kind of abrasive. And I think sometimes people forget to use it on other things. So, like, when I'm using my little Milwaukee and an abrasive gets all gunked up, I will even sometimes come over here and touch it on there and just start working, and you'll get more use out of your abrasive. And these are not expensive. They cost a couple bucks and they will last you like forever. I've had this one for years, and you can see I'm still working on it. And then I got that little one over there. Now, here's one other thing I want to show you. Quick little trick here. Keep your old belts, or if your machine, that when you buy a new machine, a lot of times they come with crappy belts that just aren't great. That's what this one here, this 100 grit belt came with my 1x30s. When your leather belt gets gunked up, whether it's from too much compound on it or what, whether you're using diamond sprays, whatever, like sometimes you can just tell it's getting gunked up, and it's the same thing. It can be from dirty knives. Just take your abrasive, all right, and you can come up here and just file off some of that dirt. Or if you want to change compounds, say you want to use a different compound and you want to take off the old one, your old used belts or cheap ones that you just didn't like that might have came with a machine. That's what I keep these for, and I'll just use that to grind away some of that old compound, get that off of there, and that's how I breathe some new life back into that leather belt or change between compounds. So just a couple quick tips there for you on cleaning your belts, and I will leave a link in the description to where you can get these erasers. They're not expensive, like I said, but it will save you and give you a longer life out of all your abrasive belts. Now, if you're using radial discs for polishing, these will get dirty too. The one thing I've found that works really well with these is just take them into the kitchen, spray them up with a little Dawn dish soap, and wash them off. And a lot of that build up metal and gunk will come right out. And then I take one of my little air blowers that I've shown you guys before, and I just blow the water off of them. I try not to use any harsh chemicals on them. I used to use them with some cleaning fluids, but I think that might start to like break their life down a little bit, because I have had some that didn't last quite as long. So now all I do is clean them with a little Dawn dish detergent if they're really getting gunked up, and that's not very often, because they maybe like once a year or so I might clean them if they're starting to look a little dingy, because they really do a great job of kind of stripping stuff off without it sticking to it. But I do sometimes notice they are starting to collect a lot of junk, so I will clean these as well. I'll also leave a link to my list of all the things that I use for you guys that are new. I have kind of a running list on my website that's called For Sharpeners section, and I try and keep the majority of the stuff that I buy and use in my shop right there in one big kind of giant list that you can kind of scroll through. Most of the things I use are there, or they're in the links at the top of my YouTube page for like links for like Super Grit, Curry's Custom Cutlery, and the Slip and Ivan, and all the places where I buy stuff from. So I'll leave that all for you guys. Okay, for those of you who have never been to my website, I do recommend that you go check it out, especially if you're new. It'll give you a good idea of how I run my operation here. I have a drop-off instruction video. I have a how to pack your knives video. And then there's a schedule order form that also brings people to my schedule where they can see what days I'm working. And then I have a really basic page explaining about how I charge and what I do. I basically am a flat fee for most items, and most knives are around $13. I do charge some different prices for other things like EDCs. I charge $18. You can see down here, hunting knives, $20. Household scissors start at $13. And this is just a basic breakdown of what I do. And then I also have some things in here saying some of the things that I don't do that have come up a lot. Now, if you're on my website and you look up here, and I'll put the direct link to this, but you can check out the entire website if you like. If you come here to this section that says for professional sharpeners. So this is a page that I've made that has all the different tools and machinery and things that I use in my shop that I recommend. Lots of little gadgets for making things better, for modifying your machines. So up here you see multiple different Toolker style sharpeners and the Vivor, which are very similar to it. These machines are fantastic sharpeners, but they do take some tweaking and working and doing things to them to make them fantastic machines. Pretty much everyone I've ever had, every sharpening machine that I've ever owned, I have had to modify in one way or another, whether it was building an angle guide for it or doing some other type of modification. And the most radical and biggest modifications would be if you take something like this Harbor Freight machine down here and turn it into a variable speed machine where you're putting your own servo motor on it. That was a pretty big conversion there. Also, my buck tool, I did quite a big conversion on there. Same thing. I put one of these variable servo motors on my buck tool so I can run that in either direction and run at variable speed. And all these things are here. So if you just start scrolling down, you'll see the different things. Here's the scissor sharpeners that I use. This is the buck tool that I converted. I also have other sharpeners. This is what I started out with when I first got interested in sharpening, was a Ken Onion Elite. They're now, I think, on the Ken Onion Elite 2nd edition. This is the 2nd edition pictured here, but I had the original one. The manual sharpeners that I love are TS Props. If you want to sharpen by hand but have it all guided, these are the very best ones, in my opinion, in the world. They are not inexpensive, but they are fantastic sharpeners that will last you a lifetime. They are absolute top of the line there with the TS Profs. And then as you scroll down here, you'll just get into a lot of the other things. So if you ever see me working in my shop, I keep everybody's job in these plastic containers. That way stuff doesn't get mixed up. I stack them in the order that they come in, and that way I know whose job's up next. And I do one job completely at a time, and then I move to the next box. That's kept me from ever getting people's stuff mixed together. It just helps me stay organized. Here's the frog tape that I put on my angle guides to keep knives from getting scratched. These are the paper knife sleeves that I use. I use two different suppliers, but if you're starting out, these are great. The 18-inch ones are perfect. You can cut them to whatever sizes you need. I would not get the smaller ones. They charge more for the smaller ones. If you get the 18-inch length, you can cut them to whatever size you need, and you'll get more use out of them. So I always buy these, and they're also nice because sometimes you get a very large knife, bigger than 12 inches, which is what the other sleeves are cut to. And if you start getting a ton of them, you can get your own custom knife sleeves made, which is one of the things that I do. But I also buy these ones through USA Knife Maker. I am trying to get a deal going with them for possibly a discount for the members. It's been very slow going, but I am trying to see if we can get something going on knife sleeves because we all use them. Here's just some more Plano boxes. These things are great for storing the knife jobs in. Here is the eraser that I was talking about, and I'll leave a link to a whole bunch of them in the video, but these are fantastic for cleaning your belts. Here are leather belts if you need a leather strop. These are the little lights that you see on all of my sharpeners. I highly recommend them. They are very much worthwhile having that extra light so you can see what you're doing. Then we get into the Tormek stuff. This isn't everything for Tormex, but this is the Tormek stuff that I use and recommend. So there's tons of Tormek gear, but I absolutely love the KS123 angle setter. I love both of these knife jigs. The Tormek MB102 multi-base is for two purposes. One, if you want to go edge trailing on your Tormek, you need this, but it's also used for sharpening chisels on the side of the stone. So that's a great item to have if you're doing chisel sharpening. This is pretty much the only angle guide that I use. I have a bunch of the smaller ones, but because I use multiple machines and I'm not going to reset my machine every time, I just move my angle guide to machine to machine to machine. But I love the extended base. I think it's the very best. The other ones are sometimes too small for big knives. And since I'm doing knives all day long, I just use this. So this is the one that I use. The diamonds, if you want to use diamonds and grind wet, they're fantastic. I'm a big fan of CBN. I use both. I have the Japanese Waterstone on here. I'm not a huge fan of it. Okay, it does a beautiful job of mirroring knives. My buddy Baz out in Australia, he loves these and he uses it a lot, so that's why I have it here. But I've never been a huge fan of this stone. It's a very expensive stone. I own it, and it's my least used of all my abrasive stones in my shop. Probably will never buy another one of these the rest of my life. That one will definitely last me because I use it very infrequently. You know, if you're into it and if you follow Baz and you want to do some of the things you see him doing, you might like it. Some people love it. Some people, you know, like me, I'm not a huge fan, but that's the Tormek Japanese Waterstone. The citric acid, this is for making, I have a video showing how to make your own rust remover if you don't want to spend the money on evapo-rust. Fantastic. You can make your own, and it works very well. And all you need is citric acid and baking soda and a tiny little bit of dish detergent, like literally a couple drops, and you can make tons and tons of rust remover. That's there. These are awesome. This little Tomlov digital handheld scope magnifier, they are great, especially if you work on a TS Prof, because you're not able to take the knife out and bring it to the scope. So when I'm using my TS Prof, I use this one a lot, and I also use this one over here a lot, the Kanda. That was one of the first ones I started with, and it's still fantastic. But it's also nice because it's wireless. You can use that really well with a TS Prof too, because you don't want to take the knife out of the jig sometimes. You want to be able to look at it while it's still in the jig. For all other sharpening methods, it doesn't matter. If you're using belt sharpeners or a Tormek, you can use one of these other style of microscopes, and these are great. I'm a huge fan of the 7-inch Goka Fix here on the end. These are awesome, and they're really reasonably priced. If you want a more higher end microscope, the Tomlovs are my next favorite. And I do like using them on this arm. You can use this arm for different style and even different brand microscopes. Just, you got to take a look at sometimes how it connects. Like I can use it on my Goka Fix, but I have to clip it all the way up at the top. And even some of the Tomlovs, like I don't think they totally thought about every one of their microscopes when they designed that one, because they make it look like it fits just perfectly. Mine actually has the clip up at the very top here, but but it works and it's great. Ultrasonic cleaners. I used to use these a lot more. I don't use them as much now, but it's because of my dog who's in my shop all day long. He hates the sound of these things, so I tend to not use them very much. I use other methods for cleaning. I've actually thought about putting them out in my shed so that I could go out there and use them, but he does not like the sound. I tend to not use them as much, but they are fantastic cleaners for cleaning anything, guns and knives and stuff that you have crud in. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll put them out in the yard and then I'll use the cleaner. Fantastic blower right here. This one, also the one at the top of my page, is a great one. I love these variable speed ones a lot more than the 1 speed, or some of them have 3 speeds. The variable speed are the very nicest ones and the best. This California Air Tools compressor, best compressor I've ever owned. It's so quiet. I used to have a compressor that literally scared the bejesus out of me every time it turned on. I was so happy to get rid of it. I literally gave it away to a neighbor. I don't think I'd ever buy anything other than a California Air Tools. They barely makes any noise, and yeah, can you hear it? Yeah, it's like 60 decibels, but it will not scare you. My other one would literally like turn on and it would make me jump. It was no fun. And then we just get into a lot of different abrasives. Here's the radial discs. You can use these on all kinds of different tools. Here's my Milwaukee little hand sander. Fantastic for working on handles and small things. Awesome. The 3M extract, that's great. There's a lot of great orbital sanders out there now that you can, what's nice about this one, you can hook it up directly to a vacuum and it sucks up all the junk while you're doing it. So you're not messing your shop up and throwing dust all over your shop. Here's the things I really love. These are the things I use most now for polishing. I don't use as much of the handheld stuff unless I need it, which there are times you need it or for tight spaces to get into. But I love these jewelry buffers. And you guys, if you're following everything I'm doing, you'll see that I am trying to come up with a replacement for these Didedco radial disc adapters. I think they're terrible, and we're doing some 3D printing and testing out some of our own ones. And a good buddy of the channel, John Gorman, is helping me do that. And we're going to make the files once we have perfected it and feel that they're good. If you have a 3D printer, we're going to make the files available. And I believe John sells stuff on Etsy, and I think he is going to print them and sell them. If you don't have a 3D printer and you want to get them, we're hoping that once we perfect it, he's probably going to sell them and make them available to people that want to get them. And I think you'll be a lot happier with them than these little Didedco tiny ones. And if you want, the one thing I always wanted to do was put 2 packs of these on one. And I've done that already and tested it, and it works really great. We are just, doing a lot of testing there because we do want to make sure it's real good before we put it out. These are the little buffs that can go on the jewelry buffers. They are fantastic. If you want a full-size buffer, this is the best one that you can buy, is this Jet variable speed buffer. When I need a regular buffer, this is what I use. I have this stand that's over here, and you'll see me use that sometimes. Just with buffing, if you've never buffed before and you want to get a full-size buffer, just be smart. Read all the safety stuff. If there's a tool in the shop that can hurt you, it is this thing right here. It is the buffer. The buffer will take a knife and fling it across the room. It could fling it at you if you use it improperly. You have to know what you're doing. Wear all your safety gear. I think there's more injuries from buffers than any other tool in a lot of shops. Like, this is how people get hurt. So when you buff, make sure you're doing it properly. Make sure you learn how to buff. You only buff from, like, if you can see my mouse pointer here, from here down. You don't ever touch up here because it will throw the piece at you. It's always from like midpoint all the way down. And I use airway buffers on my buffer, which I do have them. This is these combat buffers right here. These airway buffs are fantastic. They don't heat up pieces. They work really, really well. I love all these compounds from Renegade and Combat Abrasives. They're fantastic. These magnetic dishes are a lifesaver. I have these all over my shop. These magnetic hold downs, if you have a downdraft table like I have that has metal, these are super awesome. And they also will help collect some of the metal dust, and you can turn it off and then get it off of there easily. Renaissance wax, fantastic for knives as long as they're not kitchen knives. If they're like collectible EDCs, I wouldn't use this on food. For food stuff, I use Flitz. That's food safe. That's the polish I use if it's like a kitchen knife and that kind of stuff. I have a whole video on making your own diamond paste. These are a link to the diamond paste in there. Tormek honing compound. This is also fantastic for knives. You can use this on anything. It doesn't have to be used on a Tormek. I have used it on 1x30s. I've used it on my round leather wheel that's on a low-speed grinder. Just great. Cuts all bits and Fordham tools. If you get into making handles and handle replacements, these things are awesome, especially when it comes to shaping the handle. There is nothing like it, and these cuts all bits just tear through wood, and you can get a handle shaped in no time. I absolutely love these things. I have 2 Fordham tools in my shop. They are fantastic. They are very different than a Dremel. Okay, Dremels work great, but Dremels don't have very much torque. These things have a ton of torque, and that's why they can carve wood. This is a big, that whole thing there is a motor, and they also have chisels. I have this one too, where you can actually chisel wood, so it can work as a chisel or a regular Fordham tool. These things have a ton of torque, and they will rip through wood way faster than you would ever get with a Dremel. Dremels will bog down, and you can literally stop the motor from spinning. Even on the very best Dremels, they don't come anywhere close to the torque that you get from a Fordham tool. And then here's just a bunch of stuff for keeping your bits and things organized. This is my favorite bonding materials for filling woods and just glues in general. Starbond is awesome stuff, and I use that all the time. Then down here, this is starting to get into handle repairs and that kind of stuff, parts that you can use for doing handle repairs. You guys have probably seen my videos. If not, I have a bunch of how I refurbish wood handles. These are the vacuum chambers and things that I put them into. Honerite Gold, fantastic for using with your TS Prof. You can use it on your Tormek machines in place of Tormek anti-corrosive solution. This is the table you see in the middle of my shop. That's my downdraft table, or variable height desks. I have them for sharpening. The one digital one here that you see with the tools on top of it is the one that my 1x30s are on, and this Shop Fox table is sitting on top of there. And then this giant one over here, I have 2 lasers on this. I built a platform for the bottom, and 2 of my cutting lasers are over there. This is for checking the air in your shop to make sure it's safe, mostly for laser stuff. Then we start getting into the masks and just this gear that you guys see me use. UV epoxies. I have plenty of videos showing how I use these for repairs, handle repairs, and different things. These anti-static straps, I haven't had a problem since moving to the new place, but in my old shop, I used to get shocked from my 1x30s all the time, especially around Thanksgiving time when the air was really dry. This is a way that you can stop that. You can hook it to the machine. You got to remove, if there's some paint, remove a little bit of paint and make sure you have a good contact, but then you can hook that to you, and that will keep you from getting shocked. Because if you've ever gotten shocked from an abrasive machine, they can build up some serious static electricity that will send you jumping. And sometimes it'll be even a continuous shock that's just hitting you over and over and over again. These are the lasers I love for the laser engraving side of the shop. And I'm actually going to be getting the P3 here. So this P2, I'll be swapping that out pretty soon, because we are getting the P3, the brand new one from X-Tool. And then these are my Comarker fiber lasers, which I love. Fantastic. My favorite one is the UV right here, this 5-watt UV. That is a direction that a lot of lasers are going. UVs are the newest thing, and they are very, very cool lasers. They do glass, they do plastic, they do metal, and very cool if you are in the market for a very high-end laser. They're not inexpensive, but if you're looking for a laser that can do really amazing stuff and beautiful engravings, that's the one. And then we're just getting, this is just more laser engraving stuff, hold down things. This thing is awesome. This flexible claw over here. I have 2 of these. I use it a lot when I do knife engravings. These are the fans I use for venting stuff outside. And these are the mobile vents that I use for lasers that are in the shop that I can't vent to the outside. These are the laser safety glasses I have. Highly recommend having several pairs of them in your shop. Are worth having. And that's it. So that's pretty much that page. And I just want to show you that. Now, if you are on a cell phone, it's going to look different. So just know that if you're using your cell phone, you might only see 2 products at a time. So you might have to scroll a whole lot to see everything. It's just the way websites are. I recommend if you have a computer, go to this when you're on a computer. You'll have a much nicer experience. Now I'm just going to quickly jump over to YouTube and show you guys the links there. All right, so if you come to my channel, right up here, let me stop this video, right up here where you see this big giant link here and it says 9 more links. If you click this, these are a bunch of links. So when you guys are like, hey, where do you get your belts? Where do you get this? Where do you get that? Super Grit gives a nice discount to the members of my channel, so I use them a lot. I also use Curry's Custom Cutlery. Slip and Kniving right here, they're another sponsor of the channel. Let's see here. That's the link that I just showed you to my gear. TS Prof Sharpeners. These are fantastic machines, and especially if you're a knife collector and you want to sharpen your own stuff, this is what I push most of those people towards. If you're a professional sharpener, as a business sharpener, this would be, I'll put it this way, it's nice to have. It wouldn't be my first choice if you're busy. If you have a lot of clients, this is not the road you want to go down. You know, this is something you would want to add later on, not something you need to add right away. And I would probably say a Tormek machine would be even before the TS Prof. The Guild of Professional Sharpeners, which I'm a member of, and I always recommend these guys. If you need to learn everything from the ground up, you've never sharpened before, the Guild is the place to go. Matt Rowell has a fantastic course. He teaches you everything about building a sharpening business, and I mean everything. We're talking from, you know, the stuff you have to do about licensing and if you need special permits, and he covers. It is very comprehensive course. He covers everything, not just sharpening. And then on top of that, teaches you all you need to know about sharpening. Every kind of thing you can think of out there, from scissors to knives to tools. You can be a member, and it's a great place to collaborate with other guys that sharpen. And if you need questions answered, I go there even to this day, even though I've been sharpening for all these years. There are times I had a question just the other week, and I went in there and posted it, and guys that are experts in scissor sharpening was what I needed an answer to, and several of them helped me out and answered my question for me. So that's the things I wanted to point out to you. So I would check those things out. If you haven't, look for these links at the top of the channel page. And then over here, this is another thing, and I've mentioned this before, and it's in the channel trailer, but this little magnifying glass, if you click on this, you are searching on my channel. So a lot of times people ask me, Paul, have you done a video on this? Or have you done a video on that? This is where you come. Now, the problem is if you are on an iPhone or a lot of Apple devices, you will not see this if you sign in through the app. If you sign in through a browser and go into your YouTube, you should see this. And it's a glitch that they are supposed to get straightened out at some point, but it's been this way for quite some time. But just know that that is there, because I am regularly amazed at how many people don't know that they can come here and just, I'll give you an example. If we put 1x30 in here and we click search, these are all the videos that there's 1x30 in the title somewhere that I have done. And you can see there is a ton of them, and we are still scrolling. Yeah. So I have over 300 videos, and we are still going. Wow. So just know that, if you want to try and find something that you have a question about, let's say it was CBN wheels, you can use CBN, and there you go. And there's all the stuff about CBN. So what happens a lot of times is people try and search up top here. When you search at the top, you're searching all of YouTube. If you want to search a creator or YouTube channel's videos that they've done and just their stuff, then you have to do it with this little magnifying glass. So I do hope they get that fixed at some point, because that would solve answering a ton of repeat questions that you get. And for all the people that are on iPhones, which is a ton of people out there, they're not even seeing that unless they're, like I said, you got to sign in through a regular browser, not using your app, and then you will usually see that. Okay. But that's how you can search without having to search through all of YouTube to try and find something. All right. That's it for now. I'll talk to you soon.